Alright, well today I'm going to be pulling the LTD in here. I got to look at it, look at one of its problems. I mean, aside from running rough, the brakes are having an issue. Kind of a weird problem. Every now and again when I'm driving and I push on the brakes, it feels like there's a lot less resistance, like there's almost a leak in it, but I don't think there is. And it's intermittent. It doesn't happen every time I hit the brakes. It doesn't even happen every time I go out take for a spin. So I'm gonna pull it in here. I'm gonna just look around for any leaks, and if I don't find any, which I don't think I will, I'm probably just gonna end up replacing the master cylinder. I have one and it cost I think like $6 or something. I picked it up a while back just because it was so cheap, and hey, it came in handy. Well, hopefully I'll fix it if that's the issue. But I might as well pull that in here and get that started. And well, while I got you here, why don't I give you a little update. I took the Oldsmobile out yesterday for a little bit of a drive, and you know, that tire, I still got that old bias ply spare on there, and that, you know, somebody said it drives like a bowl full of jelly. It's basically what it did. And the alignment's still off, because when I made turns I could hear that tire just squealing. You know, I wasn't going fast, it was just that far off. And unfortunately it overheated again. I got stuck in a little bit of traffic and it got hot again. Hot light came on, coolant started overflowing, so I had to park it. But I guess my coolant flush and 160-degree thermostat didn't fix it, so I don't know. There's going to be a lot of money in that car. I may just stop driving it for this summer. Until I get all the parts in it and all the money and rebuild the engine, do everything to it, because it's, you know, I can't really take it anywhere other than short trips that I can't really, you know, sit in traffic on, so I got to take the back roads with it, which is nice. But I should be getting tires for it today. I'll put those on, but I don't think I want to drive it anywhere with them, so I think it's just going to sit for a while. And another little update, the engine, or the 318 that we're going to put in, a little update on that. We took the transmission pan off, and we're going to replace the filter and the gasket and straighten out that pan a little bit. But once we got the filter or the pan off, you look inside there and it was just metal shavings. And I'm not talking about you know, a little bit glittery. I mean, that was there too, but there were actual chunks of metal in that pan, you know, pickers you could grab out of there. So I don't think we're going to be using that transmission. I mean, I could flush it out and attempt to use it, but I'd really feel more comfortable if it was rebuilt. And seeing as that's not the correct transmission, and I would have to modify a lot of things to make it work in this car, I think we're just going to not use this one for right now. My brother met somebody down at Back to the 50s who actually has a 60 Dodge Dart for parts. So we're going to go down there maybe in a couple weeks and look at it and see what he wants for maybe the whole car, because we need a lot of parts. So we may, it's a possibility that we may end up buying the whole car. We don't know yet, it's still in the future, but for now we're not going to use that transmission, and maybe not this engine. If the other engine in the car is good, we might pull them together and just go from there, but we'll see. That's still future. But alright, let's pull that sucker in and see if we can figure out the brake issue. Alright, awfully warm in here, but let's see how she does. It still starts up okay and it runs okay, but it ain't perfect. This one needs a lot of work too. Not as much as the Oldsmobile, thank God, though. Alright. I guess I'll get out and just take a peek underneath it, look for leaks, and check the brake fluid. We'll go from there. Well, I've looked around and I don't see any obvious external leaks. I pulled the cap off there. I don't see any fluid missing, which is, I guess, a good sign. But I did notice that all the paint around this master cylinder on the brake booster is all basically coming off. So that tells me that at some point in this car's life that master was leaking and running down the booster. That's a pretty good sign that your master is leaking. Doesn't look wet now. It just looks like it's rusty, and it had been getting wet at some point with brake fluid on it, because brake fluid will eat away at paint. Crawled underneath it and didn't see anything. When you're looking for brake fluid leaks underneath the car, easy way to do it is just crawl underneath it and look at the back side of the wheels, and just see if there's any wetness around the calipers or the lines or on the wheel itself. In the back, if you have drums, or if you have drums all the way around, look at the back of the drums and look for it leaking between the drum and the back plate. You'll see it. It might be wet. And also follow all the lines in the car just to make sure that they're not leaking anywhere. This one is good. I saw no leaks anywhere, so I think my only choice now is to grab that new master cylinder I have and throw it in and just see if that'll help, because I'm kind of out of ideas, seeing as everything else, you know, looks to be okay. Alright, well, first things first, if I'm going to take off the master cylinder, I have to get all the fluid out of it, or at least that makes it a lot easier. And I had a setup with a vacuum pump that would drain it out real easy, but my vacuum pump seems to not be working quite so well. So, scratch that idea. I came up with another one though. I got a vacuum line off the car. Didn't have any actual vacuum tees, so I broke apart a pen and shoved it in there. And then I've got my what I was using with the vacuum pump. It's just a mayonnaise jar with 2 holes in the top and hoses coming out. And I'll fire up the car. That ought to create a vacuum. Hopefully it'll run halfway decent with a vacuum leak like this, but enough to suck out the fluid, and then we can go from there. So I guess just give it a try. See if it'll run even. Hell, runs better with a vacuum leak. Oh yeah, fucking good. I gotta keep that down so that we don't suck a bunch of brake fluid into the engine. A little stiffer bottle might have been nice, but we got a lot of vacuum. We'll just slowly suck it up. We don't want to break the bottle. Don't look too good. All the fluid's out of it. Now I can go ahead and turn it off, and we can change out that master. Well, that's some pretty nasty fluid there. I really should bleed it out, but yeah, you know, I don't know how ambitious I feel today. So for right now, we'll just concentrate on the master cylinder. First thing I'm going to do is just crack these lines, make sure I can get them loose, and then before I take them all the way off, I'm going to hit these two bolts here, make sure I can get those off. And before I take the whole unit out, I'm going to go over and bench bleed my new master, so that when I get the other one off, this one will be all ready to go, and I can just slide or bolt it right up and screw in the lines, and we should be good to go. So I'll start getting that ready, find out what I need, and then I'll get back to you. Alright, I've got the master cylinder loose here, and not sure if you'll be able to see it. Let's see if I can try to get a good angle here. Yeah, can't really see it there. I can see it here, and it'll probably be a little bit easier once I've got the master out, but I don't know if you can see down there, after I took the nuts off on the studs there to pull the master cylinder out, a little bit of fluid came out, so that tells me that my suspicion was right, and this thing is leaking a little bit past the seals in the master cylinder and going back into the brake booster. So hopefully changing this will fix my problem. So now that I've got it this far, and I've got the lines loose but they're not off, so they're not leaking, and I've got the master cylinder loose, I'm going to go ahead and bench bleed this one. Normally I don't even bench bleed them, I just put them on the car and bleed them, but this time I figured we'd follow the directions that were in the box with the brake or master cylinder there. So what I've done is blocked off the ports with these plugs they had in the kit. I've put about half full on the master cylinder with fresh brake fluid, and I've clamped it into here by this ear. I generally don't like doing this, that's why I do it on the car, because if you push too hard there is a chance you can break this, but it was $6 and I'm not gonna cry if it does break. I don't think it will, it's pretty thick. But another thing, when you're clamping this into the vise, don't clamp it along here, because you may crush this and actually ruin the inside of the bore, and then you're really screwed. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and give her a couple of slow little pushes there, about 3/4 to an inch in, and I'm just going to do that until it gets nice and hard. It may take a little while, and I'm just going to keep doing that until it gets hard, and then we'll be ready to throw it on the car. Now it's going to be easier obviously without a camera, so I'm going to sit you down, turn you off, and finish this up. Alright, I've got the other master cylinder bench bled, and I've got this one out, and you can see the wetness behind there. That all came out from behind the master cylinder, so gives you a better shot of that. I'm going to grab the new one and just slide it into place, take the plugs out one at a time, and then screw the lines back in and take her for a little test drive. Well, the bench bleeding was not quite as effective as I'd hoped it would be, so I may have to go back and actually bleed them. But I pedals hard and it does stop, it just travels a bit much, so I think there may be a little bit of air left in it. But it stops just fine, so yeah. So I'm going to head uptown, drive it around a little bit, and we'll just see how it does, see if that issue persists where it's hard to stop. And hopefully some of the air maybe will work out of the system on the way up. But for right now, I'm just going to consider it fixed until it proves to me that it's not. So if it doesn't work out, I'll come back with another video and we'll try to figure it out.